Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. After 8 long years, Trae Young has finally been traded away from the Hawks. He was traded for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, two players that probably won't even start for this team, let's be honest. And if you really think about it, they basically traded Luka Doncic for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum down the road. Now, all the highlights in this video are going to be from Trae Young's last season. These are just from 1 year ago. All right. Automatically, everyone is saying, why aren't there picks involved in this deal? Where are all the picks? You got nothing for Trae Young. And like halfway, you kind of have to agree with it. Trae Young is an all-star level caliber player. He's a perennial all-star level player. He's made a lot of times. He's been snubbed a few. How they determine the value of a small point guard who can't really defend, that archetype of player is just slowly fizzling out of the league. You can kind of pair him in with the Darius Garlands, a John Morant, maybe a Tyler Hero, even a LaMelo Ball in some circumstances, not because they're all just small, but because they don't really play defense. They might not contribute to winning as much as you think they do when you look at their stats, and they typically aren't as healthy as you want them to be. Either one of those things is usually a detriment to these types of players. Now, even though his value might not have been super high, you have to be a little weirded out by this trade, right? Because Trae Young is still an all-star player. Just less than 5 years ago, this man was in the playoffs. He was in the conference finals. He was averaging nearly 30 and 10 in the playoffs at 22 years old. He's now been traded away for two bench players, two guys who will not start on this team likely in the near future. One of them being a basically older player, kind of falling out of his prime slightly. Now, to argue against the impact of Trae Young, ever since they went to the conference finals, they've basically never been close to getting back. They've never even made it to the second round since then. And when you look at things that happened this season, Atlanta went 2-8 in the 10 games Young played this season, and they were better kind of without him. The emergence of Jalen Johnson, the additions of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Onyeka Okongwu, who started to rise up to be a better player. The acquisition of Kristaps Porzingis has not really worked out, but also that kind of determines by his health. He's not really healthy most of the time. But all this data would suggest that when they have Trae Young, this team is just not as good as they are without him on the floor. He is not far removed from being the great player he was in the conference finals. He is not far removed from being a all-star caliber player whatsoever. But when you look at his impact on the Hawks and when you look at his impact around the league, how he is being the small point guard that he is, not being great defensively, not even being that good of a shooter, he's kind of fallen off from there. He was kind of compared to Steph Curry earlier in his career. He's nowhere close. He's not that efficient. And again, he does not play defense. He is a great passer. He can be a great scorer, but does it come at the cost of being detrimental to the team's overall success? The team struggles to stay over 500. They basically stay at that 500 range entire season's worth. We've even had Trae Young saying after the conference finals appearance, he kind of doesn't take the regular season serious anymore. Now, is this just bad team building around Trae Young, and that's why they haven't had success? You look at the DeJounte Murray era was kind of lackluster. The John Collins saga where he's with Trae Young and he's not with Trae Young, and they're good, they're not. The Hawks franchise have done a lot of weird things the past few years. They've made some bad moves. They made some good moves. I will say the supporting cast right now, I think a lot of us had high hopes in coming to the season. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a good two-way player who can pass the ball and shoot. Jalen Johnson's emergence from last season, we knew he was good. He got hurt. He came back. He's even better now. Onyeka Okongwu is a solid center who's only getting better. They have guys around Trae Young that should have made this team work. And again, the Kristaps Porzingis ad should have helped too, but he's kind of been out of the lineup. That's not really their fault. But when Trae Young has played, this team just does not win a whole lot of games. They still hover around 500, and it's becoming a problem. Because the worst thing you can do in this league is hover around the middle. You either want to be at the top, contending, or be a good playoff team at least, or you want to be at the bottom to get a good lottery pick so you can maybe rise up from the bottom next season or the season's coming after. But Atlanta can just not get out of their own way when it comes to being a 500 team, a play-in team, basically. They're going to get smoked in the first round by a superior team, or they're going to lose a playing game and not make the playoffs whatsoever. They had to make a move. There was pressure on this organization to make a move. There's pressure on Trae Young. He was going to be a free agent this summer, or he could have been. He had a player option he could have opted into to come back with a team. But at the same time, no matter what, he was going to be a free agent very soon, and the Hawks were pretty reluctant to give him an extension. They did not do it so far this season. It was kind of a make or break year. We're going to see what you do for us, Trae Young. If we succeed, we got all these pieces around you. If it does well, we'll sign you, we'll extend you. But if it doesn't, then we're just going to wait. We're going to hold out because we're not going to spend max money on a player who might not have max level impact. Now, for the Wizards side, they get a playmaker. They have a lot of young guys, a lot of shot creators, a guy like Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, Trae Johnson is starting to come along. They have guys who can score the ball, but they don't have a point guard who can really set them up. Bud Carrington is trying his best. He's not really made for it right now, I don't think. I think he has a long way to go, but there's still potential within him. But this team needs someone who can set them up and not really take a whole lot from them. And I think Trae Young, even though he is a very heliocentric guard, a very ball-heavy, dominant guard, I also think he's a really good passer. He's really good at setting guys up. I think a lot of the success of Jalen Johnson came from Trae Young. I think when you talk about a guy like Alex Sarr, you now have a better point guard to throw him lobs, get him more touches in the paint. And you also have a guy who, even though Trae Young isn't the best shooter, like I said previously, he still has enough to where he is a risk and he's a threat out there. It can create more spacing. He knows how to get to his spots. They are going to struggle defensively with him, as all teams will with a small point guard. But then again, this is not a team that's contending. It's not a team that needs to go very far very soon. Trae Young is an expiring deal. If he opts into his player option, that's just one more year. They can choose to extend him, and I've seen a bunch of people be kind of scared at that because the Wizards have this knack of extending guys and offering them max contracts and it just capping the team what they can do in the future. You look at John Wall, Bradley Beal, them trying to get Russ. It just doesn't always work out when you give these guys max level money and they don't have max level impact. Now, again, John Wall got hurt. Bradley Beal, he was kind of a max player who didn't really impact the game. But Trae Young, this basically comes at no real cost for them. I mean, they have two players they didn't really need. Corey Kispert was kind of like falling out of the rotation, falling off the team. He's not really needed here. These young guys have come in, kind of taken up his spot. CJ McCollum is an old veteran that they got, and they were basically going to flip anyways. We knew this trade was going to happen maybe a day before it did because there are rumors that they were just trying to figure out who goes where, what other pieces are being added, and it looks like it was just the Corey Kispert holdup, I guess. But I think all in all, this trade looks very confusing to a lot of fans because you look at it and you see a star like Trae Young and you see these big stats and you wonder, how did you not get more for this player? But then again, I mean, we've seen around the league, you don't always get what you want for it. Like the market goes up and down. You have to sell high, you have to buy low. And what Trae Young has become, the player he has become, the impact he has on the game and his teams, it's been lowered from the conference finals years. He has been lowered in the value, lowered in the pecking order. This guy does not have the impact as we thought he would. He's kind of fallen off. He's kind of like really coasted a lot of seasons, and I think that turned a lot of teams off of him. And I don't know if there was a better offer out there. I'm sure you could have gotten some kind of draft capital for him somewhere else, but at the end of the day, the Hawks wash their hands with this. They save a lot of money by doing it, I guess. So it's really just like a glorified salary dump is what I'm seeing. From the Wizards' perspective, they have nothing to lose. They can either keep Trae Young or just let him go if they don't really like him. They have enough young guys, and they know how to be good anytime soon. So this really is like a nothing for them. Maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe he'll be their Michael Porter Jr. the way he is for the Nets. He'll be a diamond in the rough and really show something. I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about the trade. If I would grade it, I would say C. It's really neither or. Like, I don't know who won. I don't know who lost. If anything, I think the Hawks lost mostly because they gave up a star player, a face of the franchise, for two guys who aren't even going to start for you. Probably, most likely. I don't think CJ will. Maybe if somebody gets hurt, I think he could be a good player. If they get into a playoff situation, I think he could win them a playoff game, sure. But at the end of the day, like, Trae Young could have done that for you. So I don't really know. I would say the Wizards really won this because they needed a ball handler. They needed someone to bring in some type of leadership. They needed a guy to help guide the young guys and help set them up more. So I think they won. I think the Hawks kind of lost, but I don't know. I guess only time will tell. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Let me know if you like the trade or dislike it, and which parts do you like or dislike. Do you think the Wizards are going to be any better? Do you think the Hawks are going to get any worse? That's all I got from me, y'all. See you later.